Alright, so a lot just went down. Amazon's on fire, Apple's flexing record sales, the Fed is literally arguing with itself, and the government, it's still shut down. But now judges are stepping in to make sure that people can eat. You literally can't make this stuff up. This is one of those days where the markets are saying AI to the moon, and the Fed's over there like, bro, inflation's not dead yet, sillies. So let's break it all down, from tech's insane earnings to the Fed's drama that could decide whether you and I will survive this winter. So it's been a completely monster week for big tech. Amazon surged nearly 10% after reporting its fastest cloud growth since 2022, and it's saying it's going full throttle on data centers. In translation, they're building digital warehouses faster than McDonald's builds drive-thrus. Just think about that one. And Apple came in shy of a perfect quarter. They had record sales, and they're betting big that the iPhone 17 holiday is going to be a big one. And the stock ended basically flat, but it's still a win when expectations are that high. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq climbed again, ending out October pretty good. It's up 4.7% in October. It's 7th straight month of gains. The Magnificent Seven, so that'll be Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, Tesla, Alphabet. They now make up nearly 38% of these S&P 500, which is insane concentration. And get this, Nvidia officially became the world's first $5 trillion company, followed by Apple and Microsoft, who are just chilling around $4 trillion. Not too, well, I want to say not too far behind, but a whole nother trillion. Like, you can't even fathom how much money a trillion is. And Meta and Microsoft dropped earlier this week on AI spending worries, but Amazon's blowout basically said, don't worry, fam. AI pays if you scale it right. But not everybody's convinced that that's a sustainable measure. Michael Burry came out, and that's the guy from the Big Short movie. That guy, he hopped on X and gave this cryptic warning and disappeared back into the sunset. So what he posted was that sometimes the only winning move is to not play. He's basically saying, this smells like a bubble, and when it smells like a bubble, maybe we're just all pretending it doesn't, and in that case, maybe we don't have to play it like he did in the Big Short movie. And meanwhile, back in DC, things are getting a little wild, I guess. The government's still shut down, and it got so bad that 2 federal judges had to come back and force the Trump administration to use emergency funds to keep paying SNAP food benefits, the program that feeds nearly 42 million Americans and allows them to buy groceries and put food on the table. Think about that. Judges literally had to tell the government, you can't just starve people because you all are bad at budgeting. So SNAP costs around $8 billion a month, and the USDA only had about $6 billion in contingency funds left. So yeah, we're on borrowed time right now. And the White House argued that those funds weren't legally available and might be needed for natural disasters. The court said, cool story, y'all. Feed the people anyways. Like, feed them first before y'all start worrying about these natural disasters. So for now, food benefits keep flowing, but it's like a band-aid on this gun wound, on this bullet wound. So it's not necessarily fixing anything. And now, while the judges were doing their job, Trump was on Truth Social again, lighting up Congress. He called for the Senate to completely eliminate the filibuster, basically saying, hey, y'all, that 60 vote rule, forget about that. Let's just pass what I want to pass. And that threw this grenade into negotiations that were actually making a progress, and kind of like backtrace a little bit. Republicans have had this 53-47 majority, and a few Democrats were about to break ranks, but now we're back to square one. So this shutdown's already choking airports, spiking ACA premiums, and now food aids are running dry, and Trump says, let them open up the country and we'll meet. But that's like saying you go first in a standoff where nobody's blinking, so we're not making any grounds. We're not making any progress. And just when you think the drama's over, there's more. It's like one of those, you know, when you're like asleep and you randomly wake up to one of those commercials where they're like selling something for 19.99 and they just keep on stacking the offer. Well, the more here is the Fed is now fighting itself. So after 2 straight rate cuts, some officials are saying, hold up, we might have gone too far. So that starts off with Kansas City Fed President Jeff Schmid. The guy's basically saying inflation's not dead yet. It's just pretending to be chill. And he argued that prices are still rising across the board, businesses are hiking costs, and that the Fed's policy isn't even restraining the economy anymore, and that's no bueno from his point of view. Then you got Dallas Fed President Lori Logan, who said if she had a vote, if she had a horse in the race, she would have completely rejected the rate cut entirely. She thinks cutting now weakens the Fed's credibility, and especially since inflation hasn't convincingly came back to the Fed's 2% target. And it doesn't stop there. We had 2 more Fed officials, and wait, there's more. So that'll be Hammock and Bostic. Both warned that we're inching closer to the Fed's neutral rates, that where we're no longer fighting inflation at all. Bostic literally said each cut gets us closer to neutral in ways that makes him feel uncomfortable. So that's code for we might be easing too fast, too early. So even though Powell came out and said another rate cut in December isn't a foregone conclusion, what's really happening here is the Fed's split in half. Half want this cut, they want to continue cutting, and then half wants to slam the brakes or even regrets, like they kind of got resentment around that cut, which makes the market is blind for the next 6 weeks because we don't know if we're getting a cut, if we're not, and that's going to mix up a lot of people. So what does all of this mean? It means that we've got big tech flexing record valuations, the Fed debating whether or not inflation is alive or dead, and the government is juggling lawsuits to literally keep Americans fed. It's this crazy, crazy time. It's a weird mix. It's like the economy's saying, we're good, fam, but the system underneath is screaming, bro, I'm tired of this. And AI spending is driving the rally, but it's also draining corporate cash flows. Rate cuts should help, but they risk reigniting inflation. And Washington, it's literally one political tweet away from another market panic. So yeah, we're ending October in record highs for the markets, trillion-dollar tech, and a food program hanging on not by a thread, but by a court order. You can't make this stuff up. So if that doesn't describe modern America, I don't know what does at this point. So, y'all, like the video if you liked it. Tell me what you're being for Halloween. Shoot, tell me if you think the Fed's cutting again in December or if they're going to pull a psych. We're just going to hold steady. Because right now, this market feels like it's running on caffeine and hope and cloud servers. So happy Halloween, everybody. Hope your weekend's awesome. I'll see you next time.